Wales murderer Mara Hindley has confessed tonight to her part in the death of 2 children who vanished more than 20 years ago.
If you ever heard that tape where the little kiddies being on the tape, it's no doubt that's what it is.
The punishment for murder is grievous no matter the circumstances, but the case is worsened when the victim is an innocent baby. The world has watched dozens of babies die at the hands of heartless individuals who have no respect for humanity. In today's video, I will talking about a number of child killers, their sentences, and what they have to go through in jail. Liam Dean. By nature, parents are filled with love and care for their children and would do anything to protect them. However, in some cases, parents turn around to harm their own children. One of such parents is Liam Dean from Wakefield. Liam recently started living with his girlfriend, Karen Bissett, and her mother in their home when he committed one of the worst crimes anyone could commit. Liam had never been excited about being a father, but when his girlfriend got pregnant, he had no other choice but to welcome baby Luna. Unfortunately, Liam was not ready to accept the changes that come with having a baby. From the time the baby girl was brought home, Liam was irritated by the baby's frequent crying. What Karen didn't know was how far Liam would go to shut the baby up. On the night of the murder, Karen was exhausted from caring for the baby all day and needed to rest. She handed the 2-day-old baby girl over to Liam and headed upstairs to sleep. During the night, the baby began to cry as is usual with babies. After trying his best to calm her down didn't work, Liam lost his temper and launched a horrific attack on her, punching her, squeezing her body, and vigorously shaking her arms and legs. A few minutes later, the baby became quiet and Liam returned her back into her court for the rest of the night. The next morning, Karen noticed that the baby's face was swollen and asked Liam about it. He lied that the baby had fallen down from the sofa during the night. Things became serious when Karen noticed that the baby was hardly breathing. She immediately called an ambulance. When paramedics noticed the baby's swollen face and bruises, they too could not believe Liam's lie that the baby only fell down. Luna was taken to Leeds General Infirmary, where she died in intensive care, and Liam was immediately arrested. During an interview by the police, Liam broke down in tears and admitted to what he had done to his baby. Instead of being a protector for his child, Liam had used his own hands to murder her, all because she was crying. Doctors later confirmed that the baby's death was caused by severe head trauma, which left her with catastrophic brain injuries. Liam pleaded guilty to the murder of baby Luna. Although he did not have any previous convictions, 22-year-old Liam Dean was sentenced to life in prison. By the law, Liam had received the punishment he deserved. However, the prisoners at HMP Leeds, where he was being held, did not agree with his punishment. It is common for prisoners to attack and sometimes kill anyone who is jailed for killing a baby, and Liam was no exception. Most of the prisoners hated him, called him names, and threatened him daily, all because of his crimes. Liam's case turned sour just 1 month after he was jailed. He was found dead in his prison cell. Seeing that Liam had a lot of enemies, he could have been murdered by anyone in the prison, but it was shocking to discover that he was killed by his cellmate, John Westland. Westland did not hesitate to admit that he hated Liam for what he did to his baby. Westland had used a broken bottle of aftershave to kill Liam. He told the jury that prisoners often called Liam a baby killer and threatened him continuously. He also said that Liam owed a lot of money to many prisoners. All these meant that Liam was already in big trouble before he was killed. Kirsten Berry. 2-month-old Chance Walsh faced the worst that the world could offer him at the hands of his parents, Kirsten Berry and Joseph Walsh. The couple did not only kill their child, they treated his dead body without any form of respect. One morning in September 2015, Kirsten and Joseph got into a fight and things quickly got out of hand. In his anger, Joseph began to hit the child as Kirsten continued to yell at him. At some point, Joseph threatened to bash the child's head into the ground. Their fight and Joseph's maltreatment of the baby ultimately led to the baby's death. As horrible as that sounds, the couple went ahead to do even worse things. Instead of calling for help or seeking medical attention for the child, they dumped his lifeless body back in his crib. Few days after the incident, Kirsten posted a picture of Chance on Facebook to make it look like the baby was still alive. Meanwhile, the baby's body had already begun to rot after 1 week of being left in the crib. The couple only decided to do something about the decomposing body when the stench had become overwhelming. Joseph wrapped the baby up and placed it in the bedroom closet, where it was left for a few more days. When they got tired of housing the baby's body, they drove several miles to Elliott Court in Northport, Florida, where Joseph dug a shallow grave. They then went back home to pick up Chance's body and returned to the shallow grave and buried him there. 3 days after burying Chance, the couple drove to Hardeeville, South Carolina, where they planned to start a new life without their son. They might have gotten away with what they had done if it were not for baby's grandmother, Sally Susino, who reported that the boy has been missing for nearly a month. Investigators immediately jumped on the case. They soon tracked the baby's parents to South Carolina. At first, the couple told the authorities conflicting stories about what had happened to the boy. They claimed that Chance had died in a car crash. They also claimed that they had given him away. Police then launched a serious search for the child and continued to search until Kirsten told them the location of the shallow grave where Chance was buried. When investigators got to their home where Chance was killed, they found blood splatters on the walls, which evidently proved the kind of trauma that the baby passed through. With the pile of evidence against them, it was difficult for Kirsten to deny any involvement in the murder. She eventually pleaded no contest to an aggravated manslaughter charge and was sentenced to 25 years in prison for the death of her son, Chance Walsh. After the sentencing, Kirsten's mother told the court that she had given birth to 3 babies, whom she had treated in a way a mother would not. It was said that she gave away her first child in exchange for money, a car, and an apartment. Her second child, Dwayne Walsh, was born in 2014 but died when he was 2 weeks old from a suspected kidney infection. Kirsten did not seem like the type that could keep her babies after losing 3 of them. As part of the plea deal she took, Kirsten was required to testify against Joseph Walsh, seeing that she was the only witness during the murder. However, Joseph was the love of her life, and testifying against him would be difficult, but she chose to do it for the sake of her son. Unfortunately, Kirsten changed her mind about testifying and chose to take her own life instead. The 33-year-old Kirsten committed suicide in her cell at the Sarasota County Jail less than 1 year into her 25-year sentence. Lucy Letby. Babies are born delicate, which means they require maximum attention and care from all the people around them. Apart from their parents, it is the duty of trained doctors and nurses to ensure that babies are healthy. However, the world has witnessed a few healthcare workers who became serial baby killers, one of them being Lucy Letby. In 2012, Letby began working as a registered nurse at the neonatal unit of the Countess of Chester Hospital. In the first few years she worked there, she got bored of working with regular babies and often said she needed more fun. In 2015, Letby finally got qualified to take care of infants in need of intensive care, and she was excited by the upgrade. What the world could see coming was that she had an agenda that would leave Britain and the whole world in shock. That same year, a number of strange incidents began to occur in the intensive care unit, and Letby was at the helm of the show. Things got worse when she was moved to the day shifts, and suspicious incidents which used to occur during the night started to happen during the day when Letby was on duty. By the time she was discovered, Letby had secretly murdered 7 babies between 2015 and 2016. It was difficult to place a hand on the culprit because she had a number of methods which she used to murder the babies. Her methods included injecting the infants with air or insulin, overfeeding them, and physically abused using different medical tools. Not only had she killed 7 babies in a short period, she had also attempted to kill 6 other babies but was unsuccessful. It was also found that she had removed over 250 confidential nursing handover sheets from the hospital and falsified patient records to ensure that the murders could not be traced back to her. Her reign of terror ended when she was arrested and charged with 8 counts of murder and 10 counts of attempted murder. During a long trial which began in October 2022 and ended in August 2023, the court heard about the tragic stories of all the babies she had killed. Her colleagues testified that Letby had exhibited unusual behaviors during her time at the hospital. During the trial, the prosecution presented before the court a handwritten note by Letby in which she wrote, "I am evil, I did this," and that she killed them on purpose because she couldn't take care of them. In the note, she also wrote that she killed the babies and that she would never get married or have children. Letby's defense argued that she had written the note in a state of anguish as a young woman in fear and despair. They claimed that the enormity of the accusations against her were enough for her to write the notes. The prosecution, however, believed that the notes were the confessions of a guilty woman instead of a woman in distress. After a long trial, Letby was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole on 21 August 2023. Lucy Letby became known as Britain's most prolific child killer, a reputation which would forever haunt her for the rest of her life. Although she has made her plans to appeal her case known, she is currently locked up as a Category A prisoner due to the harsh treatment child killers receive from other prisoners. She is held at the HMP Prison Low Newton. It is believed that Letby would be kept on suicide watch for a few months before she will allowed to freely mix with other inmates. However, her safety among inmates will not be guaranteed as child killers always carry a target on their head in prisons. They are often treated with hate and violence from other inmates. Most people believe that children are innocent and do not deserve to be brutally killed. Savannah Brockill. Savannah Brockill was an amateur boxer who was working as a security guard at a club when she met Frankie Smith in 2020. On the night they met, Savannah and Frankie flirted for a while and got talking. The two soon got into a relationship, and Frankie had no idea that her relationship with Savannah would cause her life to change drastically for the worse. 20-year-old Frankie was the single mother of Star Hobson and was recently divorced when she met Savannah. Shortly after the relationship began, Savannah began obsessing over Frankie, always checking Frankie's phone and demanding to know where Frankie was at all times. One time, Savannah posted a terrifying video on Frankie's Snapchat in which she referred to herself as a psycho and threatened to break the kneecaps of anyone who even dared speak to Frankie. Savannah was overly possessive of Frankie and would not let her associate with anyone or go anywhere without her knowledge. Savannah's obsession soon turned into violence. She would turn Frankie into a punching bag and often leave her numerous bruises. Savannah was a boxer whose dreams of going to the Olympics were shattered by an injury. With her training, it would be easy for her to deliver damaging blows to Frankie, but Frankie loved her enough to endure the pain. The story took a dark turn when Savannah began to treat Frankie's daughter Star with the same violence. She assaulted 1-year-old Star on several occasions, leaving the baby with bruises. It got so bad that one concerned neighbor notified social services about Star, and a case was opened. Savannah practically began to control Frankie and Star's lives, limiting them from making contact with their family. Savannah would often order Frankie to discipline Star harshly for little things the child would do. The pattern of abuse continued for a while. When they were asked about Star's bruises, the two women lied that the bruise was caused by a fall. Friends and family members who were concerned about Star called social services severally about the girl that Savannah managed to make the social workers believe that all was well. In July 2020, Savannah took Star along with her to work at night. The poor girl had to face worse abuse from Savannah all night. When Savannah noticed a huge bruise on Star's cheek, she became frantic and immediately searched the internet on how to get rid of the bruise as quickly as possible. The abuse on Star continued to occur until September 22, 2020, when Star's life was brutally cut short at the hands of her mother's lover. All the while Savannah has been hurting Star. Frankie was aware but never tried to stop Savannah from hitting their child. Frankie's careless attitude toward her daughter contributed to her eventual death. On that day, Star was at home playing with 2 children when Savannah began assaulting her, delivering a fatal punch or kick that would lead to the child's death. When they realized what had happened, the couple tried looking for a solution on the internet. They searched for ways of treating shock in babies. After searching for about 15 minutes and didn't find anything, they then made a 999 call. Upon examination, doctors determined that the fatal punch was delivered with the force of a car crash. It was obvious that Savannah had turned Star into a punching bag and hit her mercilessly. The assault caused severe damage to her body. She had a fractured ankle, her internal organs were damaged, and a rupture in her vena cava vein led to internal bleeding and death. During trial, Frankie confessed that Savannah had killed Star and insisted that only Savannah was involved in the murder. The jury agreed that Savannah was responsible for the child's death and Frankie had nothing to do with it. However, they did not exonerate Frankie. They believed that she had either caused or allowed her daughter's death. In December 2021, Savannah Brockill was convicted of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum of 25 years. The judge noted that the child was caught in the crossfire of a toxic relationship. Star's mother, Frankie Smith, was sentenced to 8 years for causing or allowing the toddler's death. Her sentence was later increased to 12 years by the Court of Appeal. Beverley Allitt. The story of Beverley Allitt is another case of a healthcare practitioner who used her position to cause more harm than healing to babies. She became known as the Angel of Death after she was arrested for causing harm to 13 babies and killing 4 others. As a child, Beverley was an attention seeker who developed worrisome behaviors to gain attention. She would often wear bandages and cast over non-existent wounds which she used to draw attention to herself. As she grew up, her need for attention also increased. She spent a chunk of time in hospitals, seeking medical attention for illnesses she didn't have. Her continuous visits to the hospital led to the removal of her perfectly healthy appendix. Beverley then began to disturb the operation site so that the wound would heal slowly and she would keep getting attention. As an adult, Beverley decided to get trained as nurse. However, she kept failing her nursing exams. In 1991, the Graham and Kesteven Hospital in Lincolnshire was understaffed and needed help, so they hired Beverley on a 6-month contract, even though they knew that she had not passed her nursing exams. She began working in the children's ward, where she carried out a chain of atrocities on the children. From February 1991 to April 1991, Beverley repeatedly hurt and killed children at the hospital and stayed undetected. Her first victim was 7-month-old Liam Taylor, who came into hospital with a chest infection. Beverley put on the face of a caring nurse and assured the parents that their child was in safe hands. She then persuaded them to go home and rest while the doctors treated the boy. However, she had an ulterior motive. When the parents returned to check on Liam, they were told that he has suffered a respiratory emergency but was responding well to treatment. Beverley then volunteered to stay during the night shift to ensure that the boy was okay. His parents also spent the night at the hospital. During the night, Liam suffered another respiratory crisis, but slowly became better. Beverley was later left alone with the boy, and his condition dramatically became worse. By the time she summoned an emergency resuscitation team, Liam was already looking pale and had TED blotched on his face. The other nurses were confused by the fact that the monitors did not sound an alarm when the boy stopped breathing. No one knew that Beverley had tampered with the machines. Liam suffered cardiac arrest and severe brain damage, and was only alive due to the life support machine. His parents had to go through the trauma of removing him from the life support, which led to his death. And that marked the beginning of Beverley's murder spree at the hospital. By April that year, she had attacked a total of 13 children and killed 4. Suspicions began to arise due to the number of cardiac arrests cases that were recorded in the children's ward, and the police were invited to look into the matter. An investigation revealed that Beverley Allitt was a common factor in all the suspicious cases that had occurred in the ward. It was also discovered that she would inject large doses of insulin or a large air bubble into her victims. In July 1991, police had gathered enough evidence against Beverley, but they didn't charge her until November. She was charged with 4 counts of murder, 11 counts of attempted murder, and 11 counts of causing grievous bodily harm. When the police interrogated her, Beverley was surprisingly calm and firmly stated that she had no part in attacks and that all she did was to care did the children. The case against her became serious when the police found parts of missing nursing logs in her home. A look into her background revealed that as a child, she had a pattern of behavior, was indicted the presence of a personality disorder known as Munchausen's syndrome. People with this syndrome are known to use self-inflicted illnesses to gain attention to themselves. However, when Beverley could not get attention she needed, her condition worsened and turned into Munchausen's syndrome by proxy, in which case she would inflict injury on others to draw attention to herself. Beverley Allitt was found guilty on each charge against her and was sentenced to 13 concurrent life sentences in May 1993. She is currently serving her term at Rampton Secure Hospital in Nottinghamshire. It is possible that Beverley became a nurse because of the numerous medical attention she received as a child, hence, she decided to continue getting that attention at the expense of the children she was hired to care for. Whether they are careless parents, heartless nurses, or just plain wicked people, child killers always get what they deserve at the hands of the law, as well as the prisoners they are incarcerated with.